Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today it's actually 6 years since I bought my Evo 10 and it was completely bone stock when I first bought it. So I put a couple of photos up of what it looked like at the time. But yeah, it was completely standard, didn't even have a high flow panel filter or a blow off valve, anything. And in the 6 years that I've owned it, I've actually done quite a bit of work to make it look and perform the way it does now. So what I wanted to do today, it's something I've actually had requested a few times, to make a video on how much it's actually cost me to get my car to this stage. Now, I'm not going to factor in maintenance, servicing or anything like that, just upgrading parts, either if they've broken and I'm upgrading them, or putting aftermarket stuff on. And I won't also be including the cost of the car, but just for reference, if you want to pick one of these up in Australia, you can get an Evo 10 for between, let's say, around 17,000 to 50,000 if you're looking at buying a final edition. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down into a couple of different areas. So I'll do the engine, I'll do exterior mods, so sort of carbon fiber pieces and the front lip and all that sort of stuff. Then I'll do sort of handling and wheels, tyres, and then I'll move on to the interior mods. But yeah, with that said, let's start it off. We'll keep a count up at the top of the screen. So yeah, we'll start it off with the engine. Okay, so starting off with the engine, as you can see, it's pretty modified. It doesn't have crazy power or anything like that. It's got a slightly larger turbo and running on E85, but still, yeah, sort of moderate daily drivable horsepower. So it actually has 287 kilowatts at the wheels, and which is 430 newton meters of torque. And that in horsepower is about 388, I think it was, wheel horsepower. That's on Mustang dyno, so if you guys who think that's low and use the dyno jets or anything like that, expecting different numbers, then I guess you add 10% or whatever it is that you do. But yeah, so in Australia that's just considered good horsepower for this car with this turbo. So yeah, 287 kilowatts. So let's go through the mods of what it cost me to get to that point. So we'll start off with the turbo. It's actually a GT Pumps 712 turbo, so down the back there, you can see it. So that I picked up used. I got a really good price, so that I paid $1,000 for. As I said, I'm not going to include labour, so obviously I didn't fit that myself. I did get it fitted, but I'm just going to leave that off as I got it at a decent price. I'm not going to try and compare those. So yeah, we'll start off with $1,000 for that. To go with that turbo, we also added a Turbo Smart 18 PSI wastegate actuator, which set me back $210. Then we also have a, can't really see it back there, but we've got a tubular manifold. That is a Hypertune tubular manifold. That one cost me $1,300, which then goes into a Hypertune wide mouth dump pipe. That one cost me $400, which then goes into an AK Racing one cell cat or a test pipe, which was $280. And then we have a TOG 3-inch single exit catback exhaust, which I picked up used again, and I paid $400 for that. So then at the front of the car, we have this AMS front mounted intercooler. That one I picked up used also, paid $800 for that. Then we have this titanium upper intercooler piping from TOG, which set me back $300, as did this Uber Motorsports titanium blow-off valve piping. So that one was $300 also. Then we have the intake system I run. So it's $100 I paid used for my stainless steel intake piping back there. Got that off a friend who was changing his intake system. Then it's using a AEM MAF housing and just a pod filter with this Evolution by Design intake heat shield. So that whole system owes me about $300, I would say. Then we have this Turbo Smart compact blow-off valve or diverter valve. That one was $140. So then we'll go through the bunch of heat shields I have from Evolution by Design, as I think those are very important. So all up for those are around $350. So we have the MyVac and cam sensors down the side here. We have the manifold heat deflector there, and we also have the firewall heat shield at the back, as well as this brake reservoir heat shield. So about $350 for those ones. Then we can move on to the injectors. So I have Bosch KPM 1000cc injectors. Probably would have bought something a little bit larger if I knew I was going to be upgrading the turbo, but I originally bought those just to go E85 with the stock turbo, and those ones cost me $485. I then have a DW300C fuel pump, which cost me $270, and also did the hardwire kit for that fuel pump, which is an extra $65. We then have a Cobb 3-port solenoid back there. That one was $225. And we have a $70 carbon coil cover. Picked this one up used. As you can see, it's not in the greatest condition, a little bit to be fixed up there, which I'm going to be getting redone. But yeah, that one is by Password JDM. Also have a bunch of titanium bolts around the engine bay that you can see. Those I picked up through a good deal from Top Tier Parts and Performance. Actually have a discount code if you'd like to pick up some of those. Those are by JD Customs USA. But yeah, those I picked up with a great deal from the guys at Top Tier. See if I've forgotten anything. We also had this APR carbon fibre cooling tray, obviously not adding horsepower or anything, neither of the titanium bolts, but yeah, that one is a really nice piece of art for the engine bay. That one was about $600. Those are going up and down in price constantly, but yeah, $600 I think at the time. Then I also have these Radium dual catch cans, so one each side, and I picked those up brand new, but off someone who bought them and never fitted them to his car, so got those really cheap at $350. And I believe that is everything apart from the last part, which I've just added, which is a flex fuel kit. So I got a flex fuel kit from NRG Ops. That one cost me about $550. So the car is now, yeah, on running flex fuel, currently on just pump fuel at the moment, as was just driving to work the last few days, so I didn't need the extra power of the 85. So yeah, believe that is going to be everything. So now I'm just going to quickly add up the cost that has all got to, and we'll put the total on the screen. Okay, so total, and I'm also going to include my tune using the Tefra V3 licensing for the car, so that's an extra $800 for the flex fuel tune. So that comes to $9,465. Not sure if it's going to be the same numbers that just popped up on the screen, but that's what I've added up. So yeah, that's to get me to just shy of 290 kilowatts. So added some cams and I could get to the 300 kilowatt mark. But that, as I said, is on a Mustang dyno. So that's going to be it for the engine and performance side of things. What I'll do now is we'll move over to the wheels, tyres and suspension. Okay, so as you can see, I have a set of Rays Graham Lights 57 DRs, and they are in the mag blue colour, which I think looks really great on the Phantom Black paintwork. So these are picked up cheap. These are actually wheels I wanted for a long time. Picked them up cheap, as in they're discontinued, you can't really find them, so I think I picked them up cheap. So I got them for $1,700 used. I've then added tyres. Obviously you wouldn't always add tyres, but I'll just put the tyre price in anyway. That was another $700 for the 265/35/18 Salem RO1 Sport tyres, which are a really good budget priced tyre with great performance. So I'm not sure if I said the wheel fitment, but they are 18 by 9.5 plus 22. Then I have got some DBA T3, I believe they are, slotted rotors all around. Those were around $900 all up for all four, so front and rear. And I've upgraded the pads, but as that was just upgrading at the time because they were worn, I'm not going to include that price. I've also added some Mishimoto open-ended lug nuts. Actually changing those out today, I believe. I'm not really a fan of that blue on the blue wheel. So, but yeah, you're going to need some aftermarket lug nuts if you have aftermarket wheels from the Evo 10. So yeah, $100-ish, $80 to $100 minimum, usually for a decent brand. And then for the suspension itself, we have some MCA Street Essential coilovers. Those are actually discontinued now. They've brought out a new range to replace that, but I paid, I think, around $1,700, and they were with the upgraded springs, custom made to suit the specs that would suit my car and the type of driving I was doing. We then also have at the rear of the car a white line rear sway bar, which I picked up used again for $120, and then I have some white line rear end links that cost me $175. So that, I think, is one of the cheaper sections of the car. That one will make a massive difference. If you buy a stock Evo 10 and you just want to make it handle really good, then I spent all up $5,825 on all that. May not have included the lug nuts in that price as I'm replacing them, but yeah, so pick up a stock Evo 10 and you just want it to handle really good, grip the road really well when cornering, get some wider tyres and stickier tyres, then yeah, you just want to get some wheels, some coils and a sway bar. It's going to cost you around that price, a bit cheaper depending on what parts you go with, and a bit more also. So yeah, that's the shortest section for modifications on the car. Okay, so onto the exterior mods. So we'll start off with the Aero body kit that the car has. So you can see it has that front lip there, the side skirts, and the rear spats or aprons, whatever you like to call them, at the back here on the rear bumper. So my car didn't originally have those, I did buy those. They are already an OEM part, so some cars may have come with those, you might not need them, but that's the part that I always wanted. My car had no front lip, had the Series 1 side skirts, which were really small. So yeah, I tracked down this Aero kit, which was quite hard to get at the time. I paid $800, and then I already had picked up the side skirts for $130. I managed to sell the ones that came with the Aero kit, got it all painted. It was in silver, so I got it painted black. So all up, it cost me around $800 for that Aero kit, which is a really good price, painted. Next, we'll go to this most recent addition to the car, which I'm really disappointed in, and that is this Rexpeed carbon fiber Seaweed scoop. Don't buy one of these, guys. Terrible fitment. Have been in talks with Rexpeed trying to get them to send me a replacement. I've actually dremeled this down a lot on the back to try and get it to fit better. This is the best I can get so far, but yeah, it sort of lifts up in every angle. Really not happy with that. But that one I just received as a gift, but that was around $400 shipped. Yeah, regretting that straight away, as I did have a $150 eBay one previously which fit better. I just wanted this raised Seaweed style. Anyway, I won't get hung up on that. Next, we have some carbon vents on the side of the car. So these are also Rexpeed. Picked these up used off a friend. They're not in the greatest condition, as you can probably see. The carbon in that little section there going white. So I was planning on refinishing them, but may just buy another set or just go without. But yeah, those were $180. Moving back to the front of the car, we have some OEM Evo 10 MR projector headlights. So the car, if you saw the previous photos at the start, it just had the halogen headlights, and the fact that I do shift work at night, I couldn't actually see driving on some roads that didn't have lights. They were just terrible. I was using the fog lights a lot, and once I did the fog light delete, I needed some better headlights. So yeah, we picked up these OEM MR headlights for $800, and they've also been blacked out internally. So yeah, $800 for those. We then have the OEM fog light delete kit. So that one is a really good OEM part. Helps you allow, if you have an SST car, allow a little bit more air to go into the SST cooler back there, and I think just really makes the front end of the car look nicer. Same mesh all the way around, so those I paid $200 for. I then have a Evolution by Design front number plate bracket, as we are required to run the front number plates in Australia. That one cost me $75. Have the FQ400 vent at the front here, so obviously allows a lot of air straight into the intake, so air is going straight into my pod filter with that setup. Using the FQ vent and the APR tray, it makes a really efficient cooling setup. So that one was $200. Also, when I was getting my Aero Kit painted, I picked up an extra one of these front grill pieces and got the painter to chop off the badge for me, fill the hole and paint the whole thing gloss black. So I really like the gloss black look, which is what they have on the final edition Evo 10s. So yeah, that was an extra $100 he charged me for that, I believe. We'll come around to the side of the car and just have some cheap LED indicators, which I think do make a big difference, even though it's a tiny thing. Those were $30. We have some APR GT3 carbon fiber mirrors. Those ones I picked up on a deal for $400. Then we come around to the side here. As you can see, we have the Rex Speed carbon fiber pillars. Those were $190. And then some OEM weather shields, which I picked up for $170. Coming around to the back of the car, I have this carbon fiber boot or trunk, which is from Carbonetics. This one I picked up off my friend Justin. It was pretty much new. Just paid him, I owed him some money for some other parts, so basically paid $800 for that. We'll call it. So yeah, $800 for that. And let's show you the exhaust we talked about, but I didn't show you at the start. And so my car had the sort of pinky red tail lights originally, being the 2008 model. Couldn't stand them. These are the Series 2 style tail lights. These are actually aftermarket ones. As you can see, this section here in the corner is clear. It's normally orange. So yeah, these are an aftermarket piece. I like the OEM style tail lights the best. I'm not a big fan of sort of making a car look like an Audi. I know a lot of people do. I really do like Audis. I just don't like making head and tail lights look like an Audi, but I know a lot of people do, so that's personal preference. But yeah, I preferred to keep the OEM style tail lights. I just wanted that clear little indicator. So yeah, those I picked up off a friend for $100. And then the last thing I had was the quick release bumper kit at the front of the car for the front bumper, and that one cost me $170. So you got a little button here to take your front bumper off. Makes it a bit easier. My bumper was sagging, still not the best. I did not the greatest job on installing that, but yeah, so that was $170. And I believe that is going to be everything for the exterior of the car. I may have missed something, but that comes to a total of $4,620. So the car, from looking completely stock standard to looking like this, was a pretty good investment, I believe, because it really does stand out now and looks great. So our counter is now going up quite a bit. Now we'll move over to the interior, talk about what I've done in there. Okay, so down into the interior now. Probably not a crazy amount done. It's actually something I'm working on next for the car, but I do have a little bit of work done. So as you can see, I have two gauges there. I have my boost gauge and a AFR wideband gauge. So those were $600, around that for both. Then I got a custom gauge cluster from Custom Gauge Surrounds Australia. So the gauges are actually molded in there to this piece. So that one cost me $210. Then I have an Android head unit, 10.2 inch, which is one of my favorite parts of the car. So just click on the torque up there and you can display the gauges. It's very helpful, plus having maps and everything on there. This car actually had no stereo at all at the start. Like, it just had the buttons, it didn't have a screen, and it didn't have Bluetooth. So yeah, it was one of the main things that made a difference for the car. That one cost me $600. Then we have an OEM carbon fiber air conditioning sort of cover bracket, whatever you like to call that. Can't really get those anymore, but that is a Mitsubishi piece. That one cost me $90. I just have a cheap eBay carbon fibre shift knob, which I bought to be temporary, but actually ended up liking it, so I've kept it. And that one cost me $30. Also have a carbon fibre handbrake cover. That one was, I think, $100. Then we have the Evolution by Design fire extinguisher bracket down there. With fire extinguisher, that setup was about $100. We also have some Shift Concepts carbon fibre paddle extenders. Those were around $150. And then, continuing the sort of blacked out theme, as you can see, the steering wheel plastics are blacked out. It's actually hydro dipped. It usually looks gloss black, but it actually has like a silver tinge in it as well when you can see when the sun hits it, but obviously you can't see that now. And then also the gloss black look gauge surround up there. Those ones were from AK Racing, and they were around $90. So about $130 I think total for those. Then if we look up to the roof, you can see I have completely blacked out interior, so all the way around. So all the plastics, the lights and the handles, obviously I've painted, which I've made videos on how to do that, as well as the pillars. And then the roof lining I had retrimmed in black material, so that total cost me, it was actually a really good price. Got that all done, including painting it, for $150. And then we have some really filthy interior. Sorry about that, meant to vacuum the car, but I thought it was about to start raining, so I thought I wanted to quickly film a video. But some OEM Lancer Evolution floor mats, as the car didn't have any when I bought it, and those were $100 as well. So I believe that is it for the interior, and that has so far cost me $2,200 to get to this point. It's one of the areas I want to work on the car next. So I actually have a new steering wheel core that I've picked up, which I'm getting trimmed in Alcantara. I'll keep this one because it's in good condition, but yeah, I do have a spare one, so I'll be swapping that out. And I want to start doing some Alcantara sort of dash and top of the door cards, and just sort of really tidying up the interior in this, making it look a little bit less plasticky, as I'm happy with the exterior looks. But yeah, so that's going to be a next project. But yeah, $2,200 total for the interior so far. So jump back out of the car and we'll talk about our grand total, and we'll add that up. Okay guys, so our total we've come to in modifications, miscalculating a few things I'm sure, come to between $21,000 to $22,000. So I'll put the total numbers up in the top of the screen up here. But yeah, so close to $22,000 in modifications for this car. Seems like a lot of money, but it has been over 6 years of owning this car. I've done little bits and pieces here and there, and I've sort of created my dream daily driver. So do I regret spending that amount of money? No, I don't, because everyone has a hobby. Everyone finds something to blow their money on. This has been mine for the last 6 years, and I wouldn't take any of it back. I've created a car that I absolutely love. Every other car I've owned previously, I've only owned for between sort of 6 months to 3 years generally. But this car, it's just been the best I've owned. It's just, every time I do another modification, it makes me love it even more. It's just so easily to transform these cars. They just drive so great as they are, but you can just make them so much better as you modify them to your taste. Absolutely love everything about it. So yeah, I don't regret it at all. I've had some amazing times in this car. I've made some great friends, and some of the drives I've had in this, being little track days and mountain drives, cruises with other cars, they are just some of the greatest days ever. So yeah, when you're into cars, obviously you're going to be spending a lot of money on parts, but if you're in any other hobby, then also you're going to be blowing money on that. So I don't see it as a waste. But yeah, with that said, if I just had the purchase price money and the extra $22,000 I spent on the car in mods, I'm sure I could buy something else that would rival this. But over the 6 years, yeah, anything I bought I'd modify. So the price that this owes me, I'm quite happy with, and I will be keeping this car basically forever, I'd say. I don't see myself getting rid of this anytime soon. So yeah, if you have picked up an Evo 10 or are looking at it and you want to know just rough cost to get things to this level, I know my car isn't crazy by any means. It's just a sort of mildly modified daily driver. But yeah, if you're looking to make something like this or get an idea of cost of parts, then this should be a helpful video for you guys. It's something I've been asked to make a few times now. So yeah, I thought I would do it today. Now that it's actually 6 years today that I own the car, I thought it would make perfect sense. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Really hope you did. And if you did, please like the video, put a comment down below. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, as I'd really appreciate the support. Trying to grow this channel still pretty new to this, but trying to invest back, get better gear all the time, new microphones and cameras and mounts. So yeah, if you guys want to show some support, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and make sure you put a like on every video that you watch. It would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, with that said, until next time, I'll catch you guys later.